They say grief is a heavy thing, but they don't mention the dust. My grandmother Evelyn left me everything. The house, the memories, and 40 years of unclean corners. The attic was the worst of it. It smelled like cedar and secrets. I was looking for her will, but instead I found a small velvet-lined box tucked behind a stack of water-damaged hymnals. Inside was the locket. It was silver, heavy enough to feel like a stone in my palm, and cold. Even in the sweltering heat of a July attic, it felt like it had been pulled from a freezer. I tried to pry it open. My thumb caught on the filigree, small, delicate vines that felt unnervingly like tiny fingers. It wouldn't budge. It felt less like a piece of jewelry and more like a sealed tomb. That's when I heard it for the first time. A soft, rhythmic thump-thump from inside the silver casing. Like a heartbeat muffled by a mile of earth. I laughed it off, just my own pulse, I told myself. But then the room went silent. The crickets outside stopped. The wind died. In that absolute silence, the locket hummed. It wasn't a sound. It was a vibration that traveled up my arm and settled in my teeth. I took it downstairs to the kitchen. I needed light. I found a magnifying glass and a small needle. I told myself I was curious about the craftsmanship, but the truth was I felt like the locket was watching me. I found the latch, a microscopic lever hidden in the eye of a carved bird. As soon as my needle touched it, the kitchen lights flickered. The air turned foul, smelling of stagnant water and old lilies. Click. It didn't just open. It snapped inside. Wasn't a photo. It was a mirror, but the reflection wasn't mine. It was a woman with skin like wet parchment and eyes that looked like they had been burned out from the inside. She wasn't behind me in the room. She was inside the glass, reaching out. I dropped it. I didn't mean to, but my hands went numb. It hit the linoleum, but it didn't bounce. It stayed open. That's when the sobbing started. It wasn't coming from the floor, it was coming from the walls. The house began to echo. I heard my own voice calling my name from the hallway, but it wasn't me. It was her using my voice to find her way out of the dark. I watched the shadow on the kitchen wall. It wasn't my shadow. It was taller, thinner. Its neck was bent at an angle that would have snapped a human spine. It reached for the locket on the floor, and as its shadow fingers touched the silver, the temperature dropped so low I could see my own breath. I didn't run. I couldn't. I watched the woman from the mirror crawl not out of the locket, but into the room's shadows. She didn't want the jewelry. She wanted the house. She wanted the breath in my lungs. I lunged for it. I slammed the locket shut with all my strength. The screaming stopped. The lights came back on. But when I looked down at the locket in my hand, my heart stopped. The silver was cracked. A deep, jagged fissure ran right through the center, and from that crack, a single drop of dark, red blood was seeping out. I put it back in the attic. I locked the door. But every night, through the ceiling, I hear it. Thump, 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 thump. The locket is closed. But the crack is getting wider. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe and don't look behind.